That is a multi-million-dollar business right there. I mean, that's pushing 100,000 views
100,000
across 3 videos. My affiliate manager texted me and was like, what did you do last week? So we beat Frank Kern. At one point, I was the second highest referring affiliate. It drove us like more sales and leads in 2 weeks than in the past 3 months. Paying customers, sign-ups, purchases, and a bunch of people signed up for some one-on-one coaching to the point where I've actually had to shut that down. We were on track to do 1 million within a year or 2, comfortably.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to do it.
This is my client Mike, and we're talking about how we generated him hundreds of leads with only 3 YouTube videos. So enjoy. So this is Mike, one of my clients, and honestly, just to kind of get into it, could you describe everyone who you are and just kind of like give yourself a quick intro?
Yeah, my name's Mike Killen. I run a company called Sell Your Service. For the past 8 years, I've been specifically trying to help marketing agencies sell their marketing services for $25,000. That's our benchmark for success. And recently, we moved the entire company and model over to a YouTube-centric business model, which I'm working out for a long time. And yeah, that's kind of what we do now. Is we specifically try and sell software and some training, and we try to attract people by using YouTube.
Yes, sir. Solid. So where were you with your channel? Because we've been working with each other for a long time, but before you joined the program, where were you with your channel?
Yeah, so back in the day, I always knew that YouTube was going to be a big help and provide it to the business. Even when I was running an agency, and those videos might still be around there floating around, I knew that if I can create video content, I've got an audience, and for free. I think you're a little bit younger than me, probably a lot younger than me, but if someone told me when I was starting out, like, there's going to be this free platform where you can get access to 1 billion people for free.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have believed you. I would say I'd be willing to pay $1,000, $10,000 a month to get access to that type of audience. And I was very quick to jump on YouTube, but this was back when we were really focused on things like SEO. So we did lots of search-based terms, and we still have videos to do quite well for those search-based terms. And that was what YouTube was touted as for years. If you then think Google bought them, everyone was like, this is the second search. This is the video search engine, right? So we did a lot of video search-based stuff. And I saw that it was slowing down. I then moved over to social media. And a few years ago, so I don't know if I've told you this story. The actual truth of why I moved over to YouTube was I had built our coaching company up to mid-6 figures. We had a big team. We had a sales team. We were like $2,000 a month. It was $5,000 a month to work with me one-on-one. And I was on a speaking tour of the States at the time and a few bits in Europe as well. And I realized that I was completely miserable. I didn't like the business. I didn't like how it was running. I didn't like how it was working. And I realized I wanted to shut the coaching side of the business down and focus entirely on YouTube and frankly selling software and courses. I thought this is where I want to go. And of course everyone was like, that's insane, that's crazy, you're literally giving up. We were on track to do 1 million within a year or 2 comfortably.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to do it. And so we shut that entire side of the business down. My wife was incredibly supportive of me. We had to make some big kind of changes here. And so for about 2 or 3 years, I've just been trying to really grind out YouTube content that blows up. Even if we were getting tens of thousands of views, I would have been happy because I knew that we were doing 5 figures a month with the few hundred views a video we were getting, right? Because our sales funnel converted really well, right? So I was like, can you imagine what would happen if we just 10x'd? Sorry, that's my text message. Can you imagine what would happen if we 10x'd our traffic and lead input? And sure enough, after 3 years of middling success, if anything, our views went down.
Right.
You know? Went down a lot because now I wasn't focused on search. I was just focused on let's just try and get homepage and browse traffic and build a community and have people want to watch our content. And within the past, I will get into it. It's it's like a light switch has just flipped on the business. It's bananas. Yeah.
Magic happened. Like, it's been crazy. It's been crazy.
Yeah, it really has. Like, I now see my videos posted in other YouTube Discords and channels that I'm a part of that they don't know that I'm in, or I use like an anonymous profile, and people are talking about the channel and the growth. And that's really, really strange to see. And what's really interesting is, so the company GoHighLevel is one of the affiliate products that I sell. I've got a very good relationship with them. We've been an affiliate of them for a long time. I gave up and turned down so many low-hanging fruit opportunities. Like, they have regular competitions for their affiliates where if you make a video on a particular subject, they'll just buy the rights to the video off you for like a few $100 or $1,000. They had competitions. They would say, this week, if you create, or this month, if you create content based around our AI workflows or our new form builder, you know, you could be entered into a prize draw. And my affiliate manager was constantly saying to me, why aren't you creating these videos? Why aren't you creating this type of content? And it's because deep down in my heart of hearts, I was like, because I know that that's not, I could get a few $100 here and there, or I could get a video that just completely changes the game on what our business becomes capable of. And so for a long time, for years, GoHighLevel, you know, my affiliate manager, my team were like, are you sure you're doing the right thing? This just seems, we're not making, if anything, views and stuff are going down. All the metrics are going in the wrong direction. So it was an uphill battle for sure. But deep down, I knew this was where I wanted to take the business, and this is where I knew that the opportunity lay. Yeah.
Right. That's, man, the story is so inspiring, and we're going to get more into it the farther we go. But what were your biggest struggles when it came to making YouTube videos?
Yeah, so I think there's two types of struggle that we encountered. There was things that I knew I was struggling with and things that I didn't know I was struggling with. And for a long time, I didn't know that I was struggling with what is commonly referred to as packaging. And so what I thought I was struggling with was I needed better cameras, I needed better filming, I needed better editing, I needed better script writing. I had a team of people at one point helping me out with the YouTube stuff. And that's what I thought I was struggling with. What I basically wanted was I wanted more views. I knew that the views we could get translated into leads and sales. I knew that worked. It had worked previously when I did it for blogging. We've done it for social media, like on Facebook. Our Facebook funnel is pretty good. And I knew I wanted to do it for YouTube. But for whatever reason, it just wasn't translating. I've got, and I'm not saying this to brag, I'm trying to explain how different the YouTube game is. I've got best-selling books. I've sold a business. I've had an actual software company. And for whatever reason, I just couldn't get YouTube to... Yeah. I couldn't get the results out of it that I wanted. And after working with yourself and going through a lot of the video content and watching a ton of training and also studying a lot of other YouTubers for years, I realized what I have a problem with is packaging. My ideas just weren't juicy enough. The expectations weren't big enough that they were being set. And I had a real problem with what I realized I had a real problem with was I'm not connecting ultimately with what the audience wants. Everyone talks about the algorithm, and I've learned. I used to think stuck in what do they call it, shadow ban jail? You know?
Yeah, the shadow ban jail, everything like that.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm stuck there, and I thought I was being censored, and we did have a malicious. It's a funny story because one consultant looked at it and he was like, "I don't know what's happened there." We had someone buy ads and run one of our videos under their ad channel. Oh, no. And of course the views tank, right? The views go up, but the retention tanks on it, right?
Yeah.
And now that's why, not me specifically, it happened with a bunch of people. That's why now they have that option in your settings to say, do not allow anyone else outside of my channel to use my videos as an ad platform, because that's what was happening. Get a bunch of people in Venezuela to watch my videos. It's not going to be shown anywhere else because no one wants to watch it. So there was a bunch of stuff like that happening that I thought was all against me. And what I slowly realized was actually, no, Mike, it's you. You just have not come up with juicy enough, good enough ideas that people want to watch. And so that was the biggest thing to work on, was figuring out what is the idea of the video that they are going to want to watch and view. And it sounds really simplistic, but actually it took a while for me to learn that, and then took a long time for me to at least begin to learn how to do it better.
It's such a simple thing, but it takes so much time.
It's the difference between, the way I've learned this is, it's the difference between, we know the world needs to eat less sugar, eat less ultra-processed food, eat less meat, whatever. But telling the world what they should view is completely different to serving what they want to view, because while that should be the case, McDonald's is still the largest food chain on the planet, or the most popular or most profitable. And so you kind of have to go, okay, well, what do they want? And in my audience's case, it's, in fact, I've even got it written here, right? I figured it out, is make more money faster and easier. That's it. Right. That's what every video should be about. That's the whole thing. If I then happen in the video to kind of explain to them, here's the correct way of doing it, you can kind of get over that balance of, they want to watch something about making money fast and easy. You and I know that's not the case. That is not the way the world works. But I can't promote, hey, grind it out for 3 years. Like, you have to sell them the burger first before you can kind of deliver them the vegetables. Exactly. That makes sense.
No, it makes sense. Like, make $150,000 in 12 months. It's such an attractive title. And that kind of segues to my next question, and it's, what happened to your business and your YouTube channel after we started working together?
Yeah, so when I actually first started working with yourself one-on-one, I was actually a bit burnt out. And I don't know if you remember, I immediately took some time off. It was a bit of a coincidence. I was like, you know, we had truly been grinding away. I must have been spending, I think you covered this because I've shared the numbers with you, tens of thousands of dollars on coaching and consultants and contractors and all the other guys who were trying to like crack the code or whatever. And I was like, we're going to take some time off. And then my editor, who I've been working with for a long time, she actually started as my VA, and she was like, I really want to get into video editing. My philosophy is always, you can always learn the skills. You've got the attitude that I like hanging out with you, you're reliable. We'll get you all the training that you need. And she's been editing videos for a long time now. This was years ago, and I'd never used another editor. And she said, look, I really want to get 4 videos in the bank, just to make things a bit easier rather than publishing one a week and trying to be on that cycle. And I was like, okay, fine. So you and I spent a lot of time crafting ideas, bouncing ideas back and forth. One of your kind of like core tenets was come up with 3 to 4 completely different thumbnail ideas. Yeah. And I was like, all right, fine. Yeah. You know, I wasn't happy with it, but I was like, fine, if that's what we got to do, then fine. And I remember we finally got one video out, and this was the make $150,000 in. And we'd had a couple of videos do okay, get a few thousand views, and that had begun to. I think one of them was about ClickFunnels, and it was just me on Loom talking through this legal case with ClickFunnels suing HighLevel. Right. And that got a few thousand views, but you have to remember I was getting a few hundred views. So that was when a light bulb flicked for me a little bit, where I was like, it's not about the camera or the microphone even necessarily, or the lighting. It's because the idea is really juicy. And we'd had another video do relatively well, which was something like make 50 grand in 30 days. My problem was I didn't really know what I would be replicating. And so when I just kind of dumped a bunch of ideas on our Notion template, you went through and you said, try focusing on like these 3 or 4 or something along those lines. Yeah. and we passed a lot of ideas back and forwards, and slowly, they were getting edited. And I think we didn't post anything for a couple of months, which is fine. And then finally we posted this. It was actually the most valuable funnel training you'll ever watch.
Yep.
That was the first one that we pushed out. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I guess it could work. And then sure enough, it just like immediately, that line.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this what you guys want? This is it?
Yeah.
I could do this. And then what was really interesting is I think the thumbnail both took you and I by surprise a little bit.
It did.
Where it looks like a screenshot. And again, behind the scenes, you and I know there was a lot of work to make it look like it's a screenshot, because it's actually not. It's sort of put together and crafted.
Yeah.
And I remember on a group call, you and I were like, we'd click on that, but we didn't know if the audience would. Because I was like, well, I would click on it because it kind of looks like the guy must have a lot of detail and knowledge. There must be something good there. Whereas I think the common theme was, keep it simple. And sure enough, it did really well. And then your advice was like, well, let's try it again. And it did super well. And then they were like, well, just keep using that one then. All right, fine. And it's just got better and better and better. And so now, I think combined, the three of them, in fact, I'm looking at them here, the three of them have got, so that's 45, 25, 35. So what's that? I mean, that's pushing 100,000 views
100,000
across three videos.
Yeah.
And the funniest part, the part that made me realize, oh, we might have actually done something here, was my affiliate manager texted me and was like, what did you do last week? And I was like, I don't know. Because I try not to have YouTube Studio on my phone and open, because personally I find if you're constantly looking at it, it's a bit, I get a bit obsessed with it. So I was like, I'll leave it. And I left it over a long weekend. And he texted me, he was like, what did you do last week? I was like, I don't know. What? You tell me.
Yeah.
And sure enough, just this one video had blown up. And then because we had the second one ready to go in the third, and over the space of a week, it pushed me to the third. In the end, at one point, I was the second highest referring affiliate. Now I finished on the third for that particular week, that particular campaign. And it drove us like more sales and leads in 2 weeks than in the past 3 months, more signups, more clicks, which I knew that's what it was capable of. And on my initial, I don't think I've got the initial little post-it, it was just, can we get 10,000 views within a week?
Yeah.
And I think your first thing was, this is a video idea that could do that. And even then I was like,
yeah, you were
like, I was way off.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it did. And then the second one grew even faster, and then the third one grew even faster than that. So yeah, there's something here that seems to be working, and so I guess we're just kind of continuing to work on the stuff that works. So yeah, that's where we are now. It's insane. It's bananas.
That's awesome, man. And when did you realize, I mean, you kind of touched on this at the start of the call, but when did you realize that YouTube could be a powerful tool for your business?
Yeah, so I'd known it for a long time, even from the small success we were seeing with search before that. I saw how even having a video one-on-one, there's something about video that even if you just send that to one client, like, oh, they obviously know enough about what they're talking about to create a video on it. That itself, having the content, is an authority piece.
Yeah.
In fact, I've always said to people, like, no one's ever asked for my portfolio or like my body of work, because I create content. And that's the really funny irony about it, is people are constantly after like case studies and testimonials, and I'm like, well, I have never been asked for it because I had content that was teaching people how to do this stuff. And back in the day, it was agency for our agency. And then I would see that there were videos about, here's how to build a marketing funnel, here's how to make $100,000, just getting crazy views. And I was like, we could do that. Like, our sales funnel works really, really well. We get people on our email list. We pitch them. That's never changed. Like, our marketing funnel works really well because we have, maybe we'll get into that, but we have something called a bridge page and things. But knowing that, okay, this is how much we make, and we do maybe, I don't know what it is, 10,000 views a month. Yeah, roughly. Yeah, 10,000 views a month. This is how much we make. What would happen if it was 100,000 views or 250,000 views? And that kind of 10x level thinking, I was like, well, we could do that. We could create videos that could make those kinds of views. Yeah, so to me, it was just a real simple case of, we know the rest of the funnel works. Let's really try and work on the traffic side now.
So you knew YouTube, like from the start, was just such a powerful authority piece, exactly like you said.
Yeah, even like I said, even just if a video had 5 people viewing it, if they're the right 5 people, you know, it could convert really, really well. It's not necessarily about, and I've never wanted to have videos that get hundreds of thousands and millions, because typically I'm going to presume that the quality audience goes down after a certain point. There's like a sweet spot. But I even knew that, okay, if we were getting videos that were just regularly getting 10,000 views, and we had an audience of people who wanted to watch our content, who wanted to tune in and listen to us, and they would talk to each other in the chat. A big thing for us has been like, YouTube is where I want to grow the community. We had a pretty decent community on Facebook, but to me, Facebook is just this absolute insane like wasteland, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, you know, and I was like, we can do this on YouTube. I think we can do this on YouTube. And sure enough, you know, we've slowly started to see more return viewers. I'm starting to recognize commenters now. People are saying they're binging my content. And that's what it's all about. I'm really just trying to bring a group of people. Imagine if you had 1,000 people who were just diehard fans of yours. That is a multi-million-dollar business right there, you know. So that's all we've been really trying to do, is just grow a group of 1,000 people who love the company, who love working with each other. And I knew that YouTube, but that was like when I was explaining that to people, I might as well have said, you know, I want to start marble sculpture. It's so contrary to everything in my space that had been taught, really, really contrary. So yeah, it was a big departure, but I knew deep down this is the way that we should take the business, even if it took years, which it has done.
I love what you said about it just takes 1,000 people, because when you think about it, 1,000 people in a room in a real life seminar is crazy, and 1,000 subscribers doesn't seem crazy at all. But if they're qualified, like your subscribers are, and actually correct me if I'm wrong, I think you're like at plus 7,000, plus 8,000 subscribers from those 3 videos. It's
yeah.
That's a multi-million dollar business right there.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. So it's really simple maths, okay? Everyone always says, I want to make $1 million a year. I go, fantastic. You can either sell a $1,000 product to 1,000 people, a $10,000 product to 100 people, or a $100,000 product to 10,000 people. And the first 2 are typically where people land. And I was like, if you had 1,000 people that they read every single email, they follow you on all your platforms, they love working with you, they share your content, and you say to them, bearing in mind, $1,000 is, what's that, $87 a month?
Yeah.
You say to them, give me $90 a month, and we can work closer with each other. That is a $1 million a year business. And it's always really staggering to me that people are constantly trying to find other ways to hack the system. And I'm like, just grow a list of 1,000 people. My friend Mark, who runs a company called the Service Design Show, he has a crazy profitable business. And there's something like 400 people in his list who are like absolute diehard fans. They'll just give him money.
Yeah.
And he just lives this amazing lifestyle now because he doesn't have to constantly chase people. So 1,000 people, when you look at the numbers that everyone talks about, 1,000 people is super, super achievable. And you can do it for free. This is the insane thing about YouTube.
Yeah.
I'll do you one better. You can be paid to build the community on YouTube. It's this insane opportunity that, you know, has never been seen before. So yeah, to me, just was an absolute no-brainer that's the number that I wanted to aim for. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, and I'm really glad that you broke it down like that, because it's so powerful, and it's like no one knows about this. There's so many business owners. I get on sales calls with them all the time, and they're making crazy amounts of money, like 200K a month, 50K a month, whatever the case may be, but they know the power of YouTube, but they haven't got there yet. But when they do, it's just everything skyrockets. The business skyrockets, everything it just grows.
I think part of the problem is, so again, like when we work with other agencies, one of the first things we say is like, how much do you want to make? And everyone wants to hit 10K a month, then 100, and then, well, then 1 million, then 100, right? So my answer is always the same. Like, it's actually really easy to hit $1 million, because if you just get you to spend $1 million on ads, we can get you $1 million worth of revenue. And then they go, well, no, that's not quite what I want. I go, right, let's start now getting more specific. What you're really saying is you want $1 million and an extremely high profit margin. The only drawback with YouTube is that it is a long-term game. There are channels that blow up immediately, and more power to them if they happen to have the right mix at the right time. Great. I personally don't believe in luck. I think people get there, and if it appears they've blown up with 8 videos, it's because they knew what they were doing when they put those 8 videos together, in my opinion, right?
Exactly.
But some of us aren't that way inclined, and it takes a while. I said to my team, this is probably going to be a 3-year runway for us to have to get here. We started it in about 2020, so it's been almost 4 years. I was lucky in that the way we'd structured the business, that I could essentially pay myself full time to do this. And I'm not trying to say this to put people off. I'm just, because it is a long-term game plan, but the results that you get when you reach the finish line are exponentially more than you would have got in those 4 years combined. It's well worth the payoff, and I think some business owners really struggle with knowing that this will be a 4-year gamble. It's not even a gamble. It's a 4-year runway before they'll see massive success. And the reality is most of them just aren't cut out. Most people aren't cut out to be able to do that. And if anything, I actually now begin to think that me working on it full time was a bit of a hindrance, because I became so obsessed with it. It was like I became way too close to the content, which is why I think when we literally started working together one-on-one, I was like, I need to step back for like just a week or something, because I'm too close to this, you know. And it was only after we got some perspective that we started seeing, you know, really massive growth. So that was my journey, and I'm sure people have got other versions that they go on, you know.
No, you made a really good point where it takes a long time, especially when you come from a background that's not in content, because YouTube is like a whole different game of itself. And actually, I had this question for like later on in the call, but since we're like on the topic, would you recommend someone to get some sort of mentorship to help grow their channel and grow their personal brand to grow their business, essentially?
Yeah, so I've always been a firm believer in that anyway.
Yeah.
You know, for all the money that I've complained about spending on coaches and consultants, it's a little bit like that's like working with all people. I've now got a core small team around me. We've probably hired and fired 20 to 30 people over the course of the business to find these 4 people who are now, in my opinion, the Michelangelos of what they do.
Yeah.
They run the company. When people say to me like, so are you saying you genuinely just hand over full projects? I'm like, I don't even hand over full projects. I hand over the business. I don't do any of the delivery. This is as much work as I do within the company.
Right. Yeah.
That took, for every one person who's crushing it, it took 10 people to get there. And personally, I feel it's probably the same with mentors. The only difference is that when you work with someone who's on your side, they bring outside eyes and perspective. I think a lot of business owners are too close. It's the same with, and I have the same conversations with my friends now because they all want to start YouTube channels.
Yeah.
It's amazing who comes out of the woodwork and starts texting you on WhatsApp the second they start to see your videos pop up on their home. They're like, oh my God, that's Mike.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I should, how did you do that? I'm like, do it for 3 years. Hell, do it for 8 years. Publish 500 videos and then see where it gets you. But what a mentor does is they'll say, I know you feel that you should create content about here's how to run a sustainable and profitable business that, but what a mentor will say is that's not juicy enough, or that's not appealing enough, or you need to rework that. It's like anything else. I've got coaches for my fitness. I've got coaches for my swimming. I've got coaches for the financial side of the business. As long as you are clear on what your goals are, they are absolutely critical to the growth of any business because they give perspective, and the good ones will challenge you. I think you've said, try this again to more of my stuff than yeah let's go for it. And that's ultimately what you need. That is what you need is someone to say, version 7, version 8, version 9, not quite there yet. Give it another go. That's what's most important. Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. Honestly, it makes good sense. I mean, I've hired mentors for myself in copywriting, and it's helped me like immensely with my own YouTube channel and my business. It put more money on the table for me. So, yeah, like, and speaking about money, I wanted to ask you, what went through your mind when you saw the leads pour in, like as soon as you uploaded those 3 videos, and they just started blowing up? Like, what went through your mind?
So I have just come back from another holiday. The money that we bought in, it was such a big jump. I was literally able to say, I'm going to book us a holiday away. So I surprised my wife for our anniversary. Was like, we're going away. It's the middle of nowhere. It's what we call a shepherd's hut, private, in the middle of absolutely nowhere, in this place called Cornwall in the United Kingdom. Crazy expensive for what it is. But that was the first bit of like, here's the first load of money that came in. So the way that our funnel works, to give a bit of like perspective, typically I try to drive people to some kind of opt-in page or squeeze page where I'm like, here, get this free thing, right?
Right.
If I'm in a video talking about how to build a marketing funnel, it might be like, get the checklist or whatever. And immediately after they opt in, I typically put a sales offer in front of them. That offer has always converted really well, but we literally had like $5,000 hit the account in the space of a week, and I wasn't running any sales campaigns or anything. I was like, what has happened here?
Yeah.
And then what's really funny is, because I was like, great, this has been really, really good, I'm immediately taking some money out and we're going away. We were in the middle of nowhere, so I couldn't get any signal at all. I wasn't checking anything. And a friend of mine texted me. He was like, man, these videos are crushing it. This is insane. I'd love to know what revenue you're at now. And I had no idea what he was talking about. I knew they were doing okay, but I had no idea because I didn't have any signal. And when I got back, they were like, oh, Mike's now the third. At one point I was the second, I was the third. If you know Frank Kern.
Yeah.
So we beat Frank Kern, which to me is bananas on this like scale.
Yeah.
And again, my affiliate manager was like, whatever you did last week, just do it again. The number of leads, I mean, I could literally tell you, I think we've had something like, alone, we've had another 200 signups. We might get 200 signups in the space of 3 or 4 months if we did a bunch of pushes. This has just been without having to touch anything.
Right.
Paying customers, signups, purchases. I've had a lot of people who were previous customers now come back out and say, man, it's been good. I'm really glad to see that you're doing okay. What else have you got going on at the moment? We had a bunch of people sign up for some one-on-one coaching to the point where I've actually had to shut that down because
that's awesome.
Right. So we were oversubscribed on that. I was like, I don't want to do the one-on-one stuff as much anymore. So yeah, it's been, again, this is sort of to counterbalance that. It's been a little intimidating because
right.
I'm more used to slow, steady increments of growth. And while I'm not delivering anything, So a kind of a litmus test for me for a successful scalable business is everyone says they want more leads and customers. If I came to you with 1,000 people who are ready with their credit cards ready to buy, could you service them, right?
Yeah.
And most people say, absolutely, definitely not. My business would implode. Whereas we have that capability. We have that ability to scale. But even then, just the amount of support requests we have come in, people wanting to get in touch. Another really cool thing is I've been turning down sponsorship. So we've had SEM Rush reach out, a few other like relatively big companies in the space and say, hey, we'd love to sponsor a video. And previously I would have bitten their hand off. But now I'm able to say, actually, I think if we just sponsored our own products and we would make more money, and the maths works out that we do. We now can turn down sponsors because we make more money selling our own stuff to that same audience, which again is that's a big shift in how I would have thought this was gonna go. So yeah, it's been pretty insane to see all that stuff come in. To the point where I'm still sort of I'm almost anxious about it because it's such a big shift. We've been working on it for so long, but yeah, it's good. It feels good. It feels real good. Yeah.
It's such a scary feeling, but exciting feeling when you like have been making videos for so long and then everything just comes together at like a exponential pace. It's really cool to see, and like it's not going to be our only videos that are going to go crazy. Like there's going to be so many more videos that you're going to drop, and it's going to put more money on the table, more vacations. You're going to, you know what I mean? Like it's great. It's good stuff.
Yeah, man. No, I'm all for it. Part of it is a level of belief where you sort of go, is it possible again? And I think with the first one blowing up, I was so happy, but then I presumed it was a fluke. And the fact that we've released a few videos with the same themes, editing style, and they work again, which to me is, again, and I'm now a firm proponent of like, I see so many people, because I'm in a lot of YouTube groups, right? Because you try to consume as much knowledge as you can. The number of people asking about the best type of camera, the best type of lens, what type of LED lighting to use. And it's really interesting because I'm like, that's not your problem. Your phone is the most powerful camera that 99.9% of human beings have ever used. Trust me, it's the idea and the packaging. You're not spending enough time and energy on thumbnail, title, packaging, and idea.
100%.
And that to me is absolutely where we spent the majority of our time now. Yeah. And the intro. I think you've got a really interesting system for the introduction. That's completely flipped mine. Because again, we were spending weeks scripting videos.
Yeah.
And you were like, look, let's focus on the intro. And you can afford to be a bit more loose as long as you've got a frame. I found as long as I've got a framework and I've got the story beats that I want to hit, those videos tend to have done better than the ones that were extremely scripted from start to finish. And that's just for me. That's not going to be for everyone. But that was a huge shift as well. I mean, that in itself has saved us thousands of dollars a month alone. Even if we were getting the same numbers before, that's saved us thousands, But if anything, it's actually made us more money. So
yeah,
I'm all for that,
And just to quickly throw in, like, it's funny, I don't think I told you this, but every client we have, I send them your videos and I say, look, study the intro and just break down everything, because it's so perfect. The way you have the shocker, the promise, the proof, the plan is just amazing. Like it's great to see the work coming in, and just to oh, sorry, you go.
No, you go for it.
That was pretty much it. Yeah.
What's really interesting about that is you were talking about copywriting earlier. That's closer to my background was building my email list. And I've emailed my list at least once a day, every single day for probably close to a decade. And you kind of ebb and flow and you change like how you write copy and content. But when I realized this is really a sales letter, the intro to the video and a big chunk of the video is a sales letter. It's certainly how I created sales letters. That really shifted my focus. And part of the problem is a lot of the guys who I've studied with for YouTube, they are secretly, they are frustrated directors and movie script writers.
Yes.
And I'm not a videographer. I don't want to be a videographer. I've got no interest in it. People like to ask me what type of lens I've got, and I'm like, Sony? Like, that's about as much as I know.
Yeah.
And a lot of the advice is scripts like this. Here's your B-roll shot. Here's how you tell the story. Here's the hero's arc. Here's the narrative. And that obviously does work for a lot of people. But the juice just wasn't worth the squeeze for the amount of time we were putting in crafting that type of narrative and content. There's bits and pieces I've taken from it. So a big thing that was completely different about your style, that was to the point where I was like, how is not everyone teaching like this, is work on the intro to get people hooked to the point where they're like, I'm investing the first 30 seconds. And then, shocker of all shockers, tell them what you're going to tell them and just walk through the process.
Yeah.
Who'd have guessed, right? And it helps to have stakes and metaphors and stories and have a bit of an ebb and flow. But compared to having multiple cameras and B-roll and shooting it and vlogs and all this other stuff, it was just so overwhelming. So it was nice to know we actually could hit six-figure months just making content that's accessible and useful for our audience, and not try to become, and I'm sure everyone loves him, like a Johnny Harris and those types of guys, but you don't have to be. That's a style, but it's not the style. And that was a big relief. Yeah.
100%. This has been an amazing call, and it opens my eyes too to just even hop on a call with you and get to know your inputs. But just one last question, if you have time. Would you recommend a business owner to go with our services and trust our advice to grow their YouTube channel, to make more money?
Yeah, 100%, without question. The only thing preventing someone, if they're a business owner and they want to get growth on and success on YouTube, is working alongside your system. Without question. I think I have sent you over a testimonial already talking about it.
Yeah.
Because it truly was, it was so different. The approach was different. And it focused on making money and growing the business. When I told you the goals, like the goals for the business, I was a bit anxious for you to be like, oh, okay, but what are your YouTube goals? But you understood those are the YouTube goals.
Yeah.
Right? And everyone else was like, oh, they want to grow the YouTube channel. And I think you understood you want to grow the YouTube channel because you have larger goals in mind for the business. And so, yeah, to be able to take a lot of that stuff and translate it was phenomenal. So, yeah, highly recommend. 10 out of 10.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
No worries, man. Thank you. Thank you for working alongside me with this, because it's big, and I'm excited to see what we come up with next.
Yes, sir. I'm excited, and this is only the beginning. Like 100K is coming. Yeah. 100K subscribers is
recording
definitely coming.
Stopped.
But
Let's do it.
Yeah. I hope you found this insightful. I had a great time talking with Mike. And if you're an ambitious business owner and you want to grow your YouTube channel to get more inbound leads and put more money in your bank account for relatively no time investment, I'd book a call with me, and we'll see if you're a good fit. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.